So I'm here today because I believe you're being cheated out of true public space. And the art form for creating this public space has been dying. And I want to take a quick poll here to start. And does everybody remember seeing this about a month or two ago? So a lot of you, and also Google had a big black box right over the logo. And this was in protest of the SOPA and PIPA Acts, which were basically to try and combat the online piracy that was going on, especially overseas. And people decided that if we went forward with these acts, it would devalue the public space of the internet as we know today. And this ability to share and this ability to communicate was too important for us, and we wanted to keep it that way. So, but I'm not here to talk today about the internet. I'm here to talk about our true public space, our cities, our downtowns, our streets, the environment we live in. And for the last 100 years, we've stopped caring about this space. We've been devaluing it. And if we care about our communities, if we care about our local economies, we need to start building better spaces. So I want to take you back to my hometown in West Bloomfield, Michigan, about 40 minutes north of here in Oakland County. And this is kind of how I grew up with public space. And you may have grown up similar to this. And the closest public space to me was a neighborhood park, and it was your basic neighborhood park. It had amenities for recreation. It had a playground for kids to play on, large open space. There was lots of people played baseball and all types of things, very recreational. And the next space is a mall about 20 minutes away. And I hesitate to call this public space because it's not. It's actually private. But this is the way I grew up thinking public space was. The idea that you go to a mall, you hang out with your friends in the food court, and you maybe buy some food, shop. And it kind of worked, for the community, it was the social and economic environment, the public space, so to speak. And looking at these side by side, you can see both of them serve different needs. So the park and the mall, for example, with the park, you have more sporting activities. It caters to larger groups. You have a family environment. And the mall, you have shopping and browsing. You do other things. You go to restaurants, hang out. But the issue here is both of these spaces, there's no way that we can have both if we live this way. For example, I can't go to the mall and just take my charcoal out and start pouring it on the ground and barbecuing. I'm going to get arrested, and I can't bike around in the mall. And vice versa in the park, I'm not going to really get any shopping done, and it might not be as diverse area as the mall might be, so that people watching element, unless you're just into watching high school soccer. So what I'm asking here, is there places around that we can do this? And the answer is yes. In Michigan and all over the United States and in Europe especially, there's really good quality public spaces and really good places to live. And as an urban planning student, I'd like to kind of talk to you about kind of what makes these a quality space. And as I was saying before about the park in the city and the park or the mall, we need spaces that are multi-purpose, have many different uses. We need to build spaces where you can go into a restaurant and bring the food outside and sit on the street and eat it, or take it into the park, or bike right through the city, or take your instrument out, make some few dollars playing on the side of the street. If we build this, it creates a really diverse community in that area. And the next is multimodal transportation. And in urban planning, we like to call this complete streets. It's making it equal for the pedestrian and the biker and maybe the automobile on the same equality plane. And that each is equally important. And the thing here to note, too, as well, is we need to build places for each of these uses to walk or bike to or drive to. If everything is just a 20-mile difference, that's only catering to the car. Oftentimes, you'll see on the side of the highway, there's a sidewalk, and you wonder who in their right mind is actually going to walk there. Who is going to be there? And if you've ever experienced walking there, maybe your car broke down or something, you feel really uncomfortable, and it's not a very good environment. So if we just build sidewalks and a few street trees and say that's okay, that's not good enough. We need to build actual places and destinations in our cities. And the next is mixed-use development, and this is the ability to build places which have residential and commercial and some light industrial in the same area. So giving the opportunity for people to live where they work. This is great for people who may not be able to afford having a car, or they don't want to be a slave to their car. And being able to efficiently live and walk and associate their whole life into one area. And if they so choose, they can move out later into different places. But giving that option of living is really important. And the one other aspect here is not privately owned. Creating an environment where people could protest or play on the street, creating a public realm. And the last thing I want to touch on here is we also have to build places that are worth caring about, that are actually beautiful places to be in. If you think about when I'm walking in Ypsilanti, especially in Depot Town or in downtown on Michigan Ave or Cross Street, I can't help but look at the buildings and think about how beautiful they are. Any business could be inside that building. For example, though, if you think about like a McDonald's building, and I don't know if you guys have a small business, but I'm currently trying to work on my small business, and no way in my right mind would I ever put my business into an empty McDonald's. I'm just doing, I'm doing some, I don't know, advertising for McDonald's. That building does not cater to any other use. It only belongs to that one single use. So the issue is we need to create places that are not single use, places that we can build multiple, there can be multiple uses in. So urban planners, we like to think about spaces in different ways, and one of them, you can try this at home or right now, think about the community you live in. And pps.org, they're called Projects for Public Spaces, they're an organization, and they have this concept called if there's 10 activities in your place of living, it's a great place. So if you can think of the place where you live in the public realm that you live in, if there's 10 things that you can do, if there's a farmer's market, if you can sit and read, if you can bike, if you can do all types of things, if you can do these things, then you're living in a great place. If you live in a place that only has one single use or one or two, it's really not as diverse and active, and it's not a fun place to live. And the next is an older model. It's from the 1900s, and it's the concept of building things in a 5-minute walk. And if you look on the map here, there's some buildings in the center, and what those are those community centers like schools and police force and maybe a church. And surrounding area is a residential use where people would live. And basically, it's building communities in a span of 5 minutes of walking, kind of like how we deal with the fire department. When the fire department can't reach an area in 5 minutes, all of a sudden we build another fire station. How come we don't do this with grocery stores? How come we don't do this with schools? So we're creating walkable communities like this. So I want to talk about how we see public space today. We live in an age today where we live in private spaces because we don't have the public realm. So if we want to hang out, we go to Starbucks, we go to Borders, we hang out at the mall. But the problem is this is a very devalued public space. What happened last year? Borders closed down. All of a sudden, we lost a ton of public space. Or when Starbucks closes at 6, we're standing in the parking lot, and then we're like, oh, what do we do now? So we just like go home. So if we live in these spaces that, and not like these businesses or organizations are bad, but the problem is we don't build around them beautiful places and beautiful public realms to exist. And similarly, this last year, if you remember, with the Occupy Wall Street movement, the protesters were kicked out of that Zuccotti Park. Zuccotti Park is actually a corporate plaza. It's not public space. And in New York, the issue isn't that they don't have public space. They have lots of public space. The issue is that in America, the space around us feels like it's private, but it's actually, feels like it's public, but it's actually mostly private. And when we want to do something like exercise our constitutional right to protest or to camp out like they did, all of a sudden we don't have a place to do that. So I want to get back to this about the internet and if we really need public space anymore. And I want you to sit and think, when was the last time you were on the street and you saw something really cool? Maybe some guy walked by, he had really awesome pants, and you're like, oh, I gotta check out, I gotta ask him where he got those. Or you ran into someone on the street, maybe your old high school buddy, and you had a chat. Or you stopped on your way home you're walking on your way home from work, and you heard a beautiful piece of music, and you stopped to listen. Were these activities valuable to you? Are these replaceable? Are these replaceable by the internet? If they are, well then I think that would be like a sad place to live. But to me anyways. So we need to relearn this lost art of public space. If we can't, we need to relearn this lost art of public space. We need to be able to build communities that are worth caring about, because if we can't build places that are beautiful and places where our local economies, our local communities, our talent can thrive, we're going to live in a place where these people and these communities and these groups will move away, and we'll be in a place that's not worth living in. Thank you.